Well, hello, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to another American TESOL Institute webinar. My name is Jason R. Levine, better known as Fluency MC, and I'm very excited today because we have a topic that I've noticed is a very popular one around the world in teaching generally, but English language teaching, I feel there are even greater opportunities with this theme. The Sustainable Development Goals. So if you know already what I'm talking about, just seeing Sustainable Development Goals, fantastic. If you don't, no problem at all, because we're either way. This session, I think, can help you as a teacher, a beginning teacher, an advanced teacher, depending on where you are in the world, the age of your learners, the level of your learners. There may be things you'll want to adjust, and we'll talk about that. But I've put together a lesson that I think you'll find you can adjust according to those variables I just mentioned and others. So we're going to get into it. We have some people here live. Thanks for coming live. If you're watching the recording, fantastic. Please share the recording with friends and colleagues as much as you can. That really helps us all develop as teachers. So people here live, I will be getting you involved along the way. And if you're watching the recording and you have comments to make, please, wherever you see it, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, and other places, let's try to get a chat going around what we're going to do today. So teaching sustainable development goals. Well, first of all, what are they? And if you didn't know what I was talking about, and then you see this image, perhaps now you say, oh yeah, that's right. Or still maybe not. It all depends. The Sustainable Development Goals, well, there's 17 of them, and you may recognize this icon as the symbol for the United Nations. So it's the United Nations that put together these SDGs, as we call them for short, because that's pretty long, Sustainable Development Goals, right? So there's 17 of them. Here they are. What are they? So this is something I took from Wikipedia. There's a lot about them, but I wanted to take something that we could also use during the lesson. So you'll see this come up again. So the Sustainable Development Goals, or global goals, are a collection of 17 interlinked objectives designed to serve as this is the mission statement. So if you go on the website for the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'll share that link today, and a couple others with you later. The mission statement is a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people on the planet now and into the future. And it goes on to say that they're interconnected. Well, we have interlinked and interconnected, two great words for English learners. And the fact that this all sort of started in 2015, and between then and now, they've adapted things, they've made some changes, some updates, and importantly, because I think when are we going to meet these goals? They are to be achieved by 2030. Now, whether the goals that have target dates for 2030 can actually be achieved or not, it's sort of up in the air. The goals are wonderfully articulated, but obviously there are challenges, sometimes many challenges, to meeting those goals, to actually achieving them. But that's also something that is, I think, interesting to talk about when we use these SDGs in a lesson with learners. And then some have no end date. And anyway, that to me is not as important as for our learners as what we can do to talk about what these goals are and how the impact they have on us. And lots of great opportunity for vocabulary development and interesting discussions. So this is the homepage of the website. If you put in, I'll put the link in later, but if you put in Sustainable Development Goals, United Nations, and you'll see that it's a UN address, this is where you'll arrive. So why should we teach these goals to English learners? If you're here live, and you would like to in the chat, let's keep it in the chat this time. If you'd like to, I think there are many possible answers to this question. Why should we teach these goals generally? But English learners in particular, you can think about English learners globally or your particular group if you're a teacher. But any ideas you have, put them in the chat. For me, I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm a building knowledge guy, like the foundation of building English language grammar and vocabulary. So the first thing I think of, well, the first thing I thought of when I saw these sustainable development goals was, wow, I love the fact that there are, there's a set of them. There are 17, and what a great opportunity for basic language teaching, because we have these short phrases describing them, and if we start with that, and that gets our learners confident because they understand the meanings and they can remember them, then they could investigate, go further. And I love opportunities like that in education, where we can start very simply and we can build out. And if we can inspire learners to keep going, they can hopefully reach a place where they're thinking more analytically, where they're using higher order thinking skills. So if you watch my webinars, you'll always see this. We won't take too much time because we want to go into the specific lesson that I prepared. But it's very important, I believe, to differentiate between studying, practicing, and using English. If we think about language learning as being composed of these three things, for lack of a better word right now. But anyway, studying being where you're consciously learning rules, meanings of words, for example. Practicing where, like with sports, we've got a basketball player here today, with music, dance, any skill building, cooking, driving, right? It's repetition, getting enough exposure to the language, not trying to study it, but in a way that you just start to build, like the muscle memory, even for language. And then using English where you're out in the world doing something communicatively, which is not repetition, which is not practice. So practicing the trumpet is repeating scales maybe, but using the trumpet would be more real life at a concert performance. So if we think about it, right, practice is really just the repetition, and that's the building block in Bloom's taxonomy. You can see it here, repeat. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm the knowledge guy trying to build this part, not because repetition is the only thing I care about. On the contrary, I care more about up here, but I know that to build a skill, whatever it is, to get to this point, we first need to have a strong foundation. And that's why I focus so much on practicing English, which I'll show you today, a little bit of that, and then how that can build into using English. And the lesson I prepared flows that way. So please keep this in mind as we go forward here. Practice builds accuracy. The repetition builds more grammatical accuracy, listening accuracy, and that makes us more confident to then express ourselves and feel more fluent. So here we go. And anytime, guys, if you have a question or a comment, just throw it into the chat. All right, so here we go. I began with a warm-up, and I'll say it now, and I'm sure I'll keep saying it. I'm trying not to say it too much, but I understand you will need to adapt what I have to present here today according to different factors in your teaching experience, the age of your learners, their level of English, how many people are in the classroom, and so on. But I think for almost any learners, we can start with something like this. Just what do you think these are? I removed the sustainable developments part of the image. Now, some students may know what they are. Maybe you've already worked with them. So then if you've already worked with them on these, then you maybe skip this part, right? But let's imagine from my group where I don't think they know what they are. Maybe a couple of them do, but not so many. So someone might say, oh, I think there's something about these are goals for humanity, right? So the warm-up, I would put students in groups of 3. In my example, I'm imagining a group of 17 students, since I often have groups between 15 and 25. So 17, because we have 17 development goals, why not? So I've got there, 5 groups of 3, 1 group of 2, more on the grouping to come. But anyway, groups of 3, could be groups of 2, could be groups of 4. And what do they think the graphics mean? So I would ask the class this question, elicit some ideas from them as a group, and then put them in groups of 3 to get them to discuss it further. So I wouldn't tell them. I certainly wouldn't answer the question yet, right? And then get ideas from the groups, circulate around the room, which I think works well when you have big groups. You can kind of hit everyone just a little bit. They have the opportunity to speak to you. What do they think they mean? So no internet, no research, okay? And then once you've done that, okay, go online if you can. And this lesson does involve using the internet. Kind of difficult, well, not difficult to not do it, because you could gather stuff yourself and give handouts and they could see stuff on paper or on a screen. If you don't have the means to copy things, but you have the means to share information with them, you wouldn't have to be connected to the internet necessarily. But let's imagine you are, they go online to find out what they mean, right? So all they have to do is put in, like, they don't have the name of what it is, but just put in gender equality, life on land. They will figure it out. So then again, circulate and ask them to tell you what you think. Well, not what they think, but what they've discovered, right? That these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So then you'd want to, let me just go back. Oh, I'm going to go all the way back. Sorry, I should have put this slide. Then maybe show this slide, right? Or if you're not showing slides, you have the image somewhere, you printed it out. So sorry there, I'm going to fast forward back. So the activity I chose is one I love doing. And if you've never done a dictogloss, I strongly recommend it. So I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to give you a moment to read it. So while you're reading, I'll just sort of summarize, right? A dictogloss is, you see the word dicta, like dictation, right? But the gloss is the really interesting part, right? Because it's not where they write down what you say while you're saying it. You read it. Traditionally, you read it once, but you could read it more than once, but not too many times, because what you want them to think about is, without taking notes, can they put it together a bit? It doesn't have to be. It depends on the level, right? So if they're higher level, they're going to get closer to it. And if they're lower level, they won't get so close. And it really doesn't matter, because they're going to be comparing it to the original. First read, and then you can show it to them. And there's so many wonderful things that can result from dictogloss. I won't go too deep into it right now, but I think you can imagine how it can help with listening skills, with grammar, with writing, with communication. Dictogloss is great, so let's go right into what I would do. You might remember this. Well, I chose this for the dictogloss because I thought, well, if my group is a little bit higher or lower, I could adjust it. I don't need to read all of it. I marked the stress here, the word stress and the sentence stress, to help myself and also to help you when you read it, to make sure you read it naturally. And think it's good timing as the first activity, because the warm-up, they've already kind of figured out what they are. They've gone on the website. We haven't asked them to research anything more deeply, but if some of them might have already started reading about it and seeing information like this. So then you just tell them, okay, I'm going to read something. Don't write, just listen. So you read it once or maybe twice. I'll read it now, just in case there are people teaching that like to hear the word and the sentence stress and the sentence stress. So here we go. And I'm going to read it slowly, but with natural stress. The Sustainable Development Goals, or global goals, are a collection of 17 interlinked objectives designed to serve as a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. The SDGs emphasize the interconnected environmental, social, and economic aspects of sustainable development. The SDGs were formulated in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly. Most targets are to be achieved by 2030, although some have no end date. Actually, on end date, let me fix that now. End date is really a compound noun. Sorry, guys, I need to fix this now because it bothers me. Compound noun, where compound nouns, generally the stress is on the first part, whether it's a one-word or a two-word compound noun. So sorry, that bothered me. I made that mistake. Some have no end date. There we go. Now, there are variations with dictaglosses. As I said, traditionally you read it once. I usually read it more than once. And there are different things you could do. You could read it once and have them just sort of discuss words they heard. You could read it again and have them maybe take notes a little bit, just certain words they hear. But anyway, it's not a dictation where they try to write down everything. You get them to discuss it, put it together, and then you show them this. And then what you can do, and one thing I didn't mention, and it's so important in terms of the variables today on a lesson like this, is time. So you may look at this and think, there's no way I could do that in the time I have with my students. No problem. Do some of it on one day, some another day, right? You can break it up. In fact, even if you have time to do all of it, you may not want to, because it may work better if it's broken up across different days. And if you have other things you do during class to keep the variety going in what you're doing. So I think it works well if you have the time and you have a group that's can get really into it in one lesson, but I would probably not do it all in one lesson. So I'm not calling this one day as much as these are the activities. And you can also swap out activities, do other things, skip things. So I love gap fills, and I think they're great after dictaglosses. So if you show them what they heard and then you pull out words, and I pulled out words here more according to sort of where they were in this sentences, so that they're basically tried to every few words take something out, but words that I also thought were important for my learners to practice listening to and writing. So, but there are many other words here. You could take out just the verbs. You could take out just the nouns. You can do lots of things with gap fills, which is great. So what I said earlier about building knowledge, the repetition, we're already doing repetition with the dictagloss. The gap fill, definitely they're going to want to hear more than once. With the gap fill, they could try to fit in words before you start, before you read it. They can do it while they're listening to you. They can do it after you listen, or all three of those things. So now, my little surprise for you. I, as Fluent CMC, create songs and videos for learners, and I have a tune, a song, and video I created for the Sustainable Development Goals. And this inspired me to an American TESOL Institute to do this webinar today with you. So I'm going to show you the video and explain what I'd like students to do with the video. So I'm just going to show you first and then go back and explain what I would do. But it's going to be the first part of the video, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So I'm going to go about halfway through with it. So this is it, the SDGs with Fluency MC. Tell me, what do you know about the SDGs? You see, each of us on Earth plays a vital role in working towards sustainable development goals. It takes heart and soul, not taking things for granted. Peace and prosperity for people and the planet. This we've got to manage. The future we must plan it to work to our advantage or continue to do damage. Sustainable development goals, what do they mean? These are the SDGs from 1 to 17. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education for all human beings, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy across every nation. These are our obligations, that means you and me both. Decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities for them, him and her, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production. We need unity, climate action, life below water and life on land. They go hand in hand. Peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals to reach solutions. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question, no question is more relevant. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question, no question is more relevant. So that's the song I wrote. And here is what I imagine you could do with your students. And I've tried this with mine and it's worked well. And that is to show the first part of the video. We see this is activity 3, part 1. So I stopped it and you'll see why I stopped it later. I won't tell you now. Students read and listen. That's it. You say you have a video. I'll give you the link, obviously. And just read and listen. Then students write down as many of the goals, right, as they can remember. So they read and listen without knowing they're going to write anything. Just relax and enjoy it. But then, can you remember any? Write them down. Then show it again, what I just showed you, the first part. Maybe they want to write during it, maybe not. But note-taking is such an important skill to build, but I never force it on students as much as I like to kind of inspire them to do it. So here the inspiration would be more the, wanting to catch as many as possible, just like the gap fill. All of these things are kind of gamified when you think about it. Dictaglosses, gap fills, an activity like this. And then the repetition is built in, right? Because they're going to keep hearing it, keep seeing those goals. To me, that is, super, super important before we try to get them to do anything at a higher level. But if it's boring, it's not going to work. So I think that's why through a song, I think it can be more interesting. Then sharing. Maybe someone caught one, but oh yeah, I didn't get that one. Get another one. How many did you get? 12? More? Did anybody get all of them? Right? Oh, I'm just checking the chat. Thanks for all the comments, guys. I'm glad you like it. I hope you'll like the second part as well. Now the research. So if we're looking at Bloom's taxonomy and looking at the knowledge building, the memory, that's where we're starting. They did look and see what the SDGs were. But I think if we go into at the beginning, research your SDGs, prepare a report, it's not going to work. Now I think it can work. And again, think about your learners, their ages, how could you adjust this? If it's for very young learners and the content they're going to find online will be too difficult, then you're going to need to adjust that. So I don't think I mentioned this before, but I'm thinking here, middle school, high school, sort of intermediate level English, right? I'm thinking of like my B students, not my A's and not my C's, right? but I would definitely adjust it. Easy to adjust this for C's. Just it would be more extensive what they do. For A levels, have to make more adjustments to this. But I would assign each group 1 to 3 SDGs, depending. So in my example, I have 17 students. Remember, I have 6 groups, 5 with 3 and 1 with 2. So I, in that case, right, since I have 6 groups, I could give 2 of them to 2 to 3 to each group, or not use all of them, or whatever you wanted to do, right? Also depends on time, right? So what would the report be, right? So they work together, and you're going to help them by circulating around the room. The report would be a summary of the SDG or SDGs if it's more than one. Very short is the idea. How it is interconnected with the others, right? So when they go on the website and other sites that talk about these goals, they're going to find very quickly examples of how this one connects to that one, right? So if you have more time and their level of English is higher, you might get them to, go more deeply into that, or just say, okay, no poverty connects most with, zero hunger and economic growth, for example. And then what do we as people need to do to achieve this goal? Right? So I added some details here. So the summary could be, what's its definition? What's the definition of no poverty? What does the UN say is the definition? So those definitions are there. Those are very clear-cut statements that they can find. Why is it important? So that could be more factual, or their opinions, or both. Is there an end date, something tangible to research to see if there's a date? That is also clear when you start looking at these, right? For what humans must do to achieve the goal. There are many examples of people working to achieve in different countries. That shouldn't be too hard to find. Again, very simple example, or not simple example, but just a few little details, or they could get more into information about this depending on time and level and interest. What can they do? And then you heard in the song, what's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question. No question is more relevant, right? I think you could tell that was a really important part of the song for me when I wrote it. So that connects to this. What can you do in your own community? What can you do personally, right? So if it's clean water and sanitation, maybe that's not the best example. Maybe, sustainable consumption and production, right? Maybe, what are you doing as recycling? Does it make a difference or not? For example, how much you buy and how much you consume as an individual compared to a group. These are interesting questions. So they're doing this in their groups of 3. And when you're circulating, I'm probably not doing enough to explain this if you're new teachers, I should be saying, right? So the idea I have is that I'd go around the room while they're doing that, helping them, looking at what they've written, helping them correct mistakes. Really important to get them comfortable with what they've written, because they're going to report on it, right? So they're going to take their report and they're going to share with other students. I'm going to explain how I do that and how you can do that. But before that, they really need to be comfortable with it. And that involves you helping them, right, with grammar and pronunciation and vocabulary, reading what they've written. So this is also how it could extend over days, right? You could, if you have the time and not too many students, because it's probably too much work, but to take what they've written and correct it for them, maybe help them with the stress, the pronunciation of it. I've made recordings for students to practice. So it depends how deeply you want to get into this with them. This could be a very short activity, or it could be a longer project that you do. But at any rate, in my example of a class of 17 students, right, I have them in groups of 3, one group of 2. I'm going to now assign them letters. Okay, so this is a way to group students to do reporting that maybe some of you already do, or some version of it. If you don't, definitely something to try. So they've had their group for a while now. So group 1, they've been together through a few activities, right? So you're going to assign letters to them, A, B, C, the next group, D, E, F, and so on. And my last group has 2 people. So as you see, there are fewer Fs, right? 2 Fs. Everybody else, there are 3 of. If that's not clear, here it is. The new groups, there are 3 As, 3 Bs, 3 Cs, 3 Ds, 3 Es, and 2 Fs. So they need to get up and move. A's together, B's together, and so on. So what's really great now is you've got a mix. You've got, if they've, either each person's going to report on their one SDG, or if they've done more than one, depends on time, which one they want to talk about. And the others will not have read or heard this information. Excuse me. Spring is coming into Paris, and I'm starting to feel it, the allergies coming. But they may have, obviously, if they research the interconnectivity of the goal of their goal with another, but they're going to hear now, right, the definition of another one. They're going to hear information similar to what they did for theirs. And this is a great opportunity to do a little presentation from what your group did. You're sort of the ambassador now in the group with others to share. So this works really, really well generally for activities. And I think for this one, I would try it. I tried it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. It worked well. So for this to be successful, however, they really need to feel confident to be able to practice it. So one thing that you could do, and I didn't explain it here, but you could also mix the group up again and then again. You can keep mixing them. It's a little complicated. Sometimes if you have a small enough group, you can do it without planning it. Make sure that they're talking to someone that they haven't talked to yet. And that way, each time they do it, they're repeating it. They're getting more and more confident. And are they reading what they wrote? Are they using it and trying to just glance at it and make eye contact? Again, the level, the maturity level, the English level, especially, maybe they'll need to really read it. But if you do that, if you mix them up continually during the activity, then you'll find that the second or third time they're explaining it, they're relying less on their notes, and that's wonderful because that's the natural way for it to work without any pressure. Right? So Fernando says, developing activities using SDGs is a great way to help students become social aware citizens, getting them engaged in currency issues which are of interest to everyone. Yes, engage students in a meaningful way, giving them the chance to enhance critical thinking skills. Exactly. And I hope you agree with me, Fernando, that if we're going to get them to use critical thinking skills, we can't just boom, go in gangbusters with research and, this is important and you should know this, right? We have to kind of pull them in. And, I've seen lessons as a teacher trainer, sadly, where the teachers are doing that and students come away feeling like, oh, this is boring, or this is too difficult, or both, right? Well, some great questions here. Let me read. What are some examples of poverty in your country? Yes. What can the community do about it? What can the school do about it? Yeah, I love it. Country on the level of sort of world, country, community, school, you personally. Excellent, guys. So this brings us to activity 6. The SDG fluency tune once more, but part 2. So here we show the video, and during the second part, students rap out loud or in their heads. I'm going to show you the video again and come back and explain what I mean about rap out loud or in their heads. So I'm going to show you the whole thing. The first part we saw before that had the procedure for how you could use it, and then the second part, and then I'll go back and explain.
MC. about the SDGs. You see, each of us on Earth plays a vital role in working towards sustainable development goals. It takes heart and soul, not taking things for granted. Peace and prosperity for people and the planet. This we've got to manage. The future we must plan it to work to our advantage or continue to do damage. Sustainable development goals, what do they mean? These are the SDGs from 1 to 17. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. Quality education for all human beings. Gender equality, clean water and sanitation. Affordable and clean energy across every nation. These are our obligations, that means you and me both. Decent work and economic growth. Industry, innovation and infrastructure. Reduced inequalities for them, him and her. Sustainable cities and communities. Responsible consumption and production. We need unity. Climate action. Life below water and life on land. They go hand in hand. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Partnerships for the goals to reach solutions. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question. No question is more relevant. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question. No question is more relevant. Sustainable development goals, what do they mean? These are the SDGs from 1 to 17. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. Quality education for all human beings. Gender equality, clean water and sanitation. Affordable and clean energy across every nation. These are our obligations, that means you and me both. Decent work and economic growth. Industry, innovation and infrastructure. Reduced inequalities for them, him and her. Sustainable cities and communities. Responsible consumption and production, we need unity. Climate action, life below water and life on land, they go hand in hand. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Partnerships for the goals to reach solutions. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question, no question is more relevant. What's your contribution to sustainable development? Ask yourself this question, no question is more relevant.
As you saw, I asked students to rap, but where, when, how? In the classroom, sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Some students like to, when I did, I'll just give you my example from last week with actually university students, young university students, 19, 20, first year students. But this is what I usually do with them when I use my songs and the videos with them producing it. You know, most times people don't rap or sing together in a group. Little kids, you can get to do it very easily, but as people get older, especially like 19-year-olds, not so much. So you might think, oh, they're just shy, or I need to push them to do it. But it's not really a natural thing for most people to do it together in a group. So when I say rap out loud, I mean at home practice, in the classroom, maybe just in your head, right? Or maybe out loud, or maybe never out loud, or until you're ready to do it out loud. The most important thing is the rhythm, the listening skill and the rhythm. The pronunciation part, is great if they want to do it, but, and the other thing, of course, is the reverse psychology. If you tell them they don't need to do it, sometimes they'll do it. But if you tell them to do it, they won't. So you notice in the video, let's just go back. Now it's your turn. The idea I have is this.
Sustainable development goals, what do they mean? These are the SDGs from 1 to 17.
And then maybe some of them are easier.
No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being.
Get no poverty, no hunger. Right?
Quality education for all human beings.
Quality education for all human beings. This definitely takes experience. There's an art to knowing when, how much to how much to, try to get students to participate. There's so many different factors. And with that repetition, they are getting the listening practice, getting the practice with the rhythm and seeing those goals again and again to remember them and to be able to succeed more in researching about them, learning about them as, a way to jump off into the part we really want to get them to do, which is think critically about it, think more analytically about it. So I'm going to go back. This is exactly what I was hoping for, about an hour, because we're going to go another 30 minutes talking more with you specifically about it. So I just want to show you one more thing. And then if you guys are into it, you can do it with me. I made an SDG game. So this is another knowledge-based repetitive activity, and you could do it at different times in the lesson, but I have it here at the end. And it could also be something that you do in the middle, or even at the beginning. If they already know something about the SDGs, it could work too. So if you don't know Bamboozle, it's a great platform. It's free. I have the paid edition because there's so much you can do when it's paid. I'm not endorsing them because I'm affiliated with them in a business sense, but I know the owner. He's a really great guy, and he's created this wonderful platform. So I strongly recommend it. And the game I made this week to prepare for meeting with you is open and available. So it's very easy to get that. I can also share the link to the game with you at the end. And it looks like this in my games. So when you get the link, you can go right to it. You can also play other games that I have created. Oh, so yes, let's go to the game. And if you guys want to play a game, I'd love to play one with you. Fernando, what would you like, my friend?
The clouds. They look happy and sad, the clouds.
That's great. It's also, imagine you have a student that says cloud, and you say cloud or clouds? Oh, so practicing S, but Fernando, as a teacher, you didn't have that problem. Points. Are you ready, Fernando?
Woo, yes, let's go for
it. You picked a power up early, so it didn't really help you there. I'm sorry about that. Lucia.
Ooh.
It's your turn.
I pick the house, the bird's house.
The house. Is it this one, the bird house here?
Yeah.
Name the sustainable development goal.
Oh
if you don't know, it's okay.
Health, something related to health.
Good health and well-being. Now, this is where you can decide whether that was enough. For me, that's enough. She's going to get the points. But imagine you did more with these SDGs and you feel like they should know good health and well-being, right? It depends. Totally depends. So I think you got it. Health. 15 points for you. The points are up here, by the way, guys. 15 points. Lucia with 15 points. Dante, it's your turn. What would you like? Dante, can you hear me? So we
Yeah,
can't hear
yeah.
you.
Sorry,
Oh,
I thought you were talking to someone else.
no, you're team 3, my friend. What would you like?
Okay, so, the umbrella.
Umbrella. Oh, we have 2 umbrellas. Would you like the frog and the umbrella or just the umbrella?
The one on top.
Not on top. You
the
have to
one,
explain it better.
the one that's beside the lion. Sorry.
With the frog and with the frog.
Yep.
Here we go. Name this sustainable development goal.
Oof.
Here's my rule. You can also make rules. My rule is if you get close, you get the points. If you say exactly what it is, I'm going to give you 10 extra points.
Sorry. Sustainable.
Time's up.
Can we guys? Can the other guys say what it is and get his points?
There is a way to do that. It's not a very easy function on this game, so I don't usually do it. So what I'll do is, but I'll show you what I do. Dante, do you know?
A name of this sustainable development goal.
Yeah, or getting close.
Yeah, it should be
I'm sorry. Time's up.
Equal rights for women and men.
Very good. Yeah. So you guys, you can decide again, depending on your learners, their English level, their age, how well do they know the goals or not? So what Fernando is saying, what you can do is you can say, okay, if Dante doesn't know, you could, if he makes a guess, I think you check. But if he says no idea, you could say, does anybody else know, to let them participate? And if you want to, you can change points, right?
Okay, thanks.
You can do that. So Dante, good effort. So I'm going to give you 5 points.
Sorry.
Oh, what happened? 5 points for Dante. There we go. Fernando, it's back to you.
Lion.
The lion. Name this sustainable development goal.
My God, shelter for everybody.
Let's see. Oh, difficult one. It's partnerships for the goals.
Oh, the symbol was there. Sorry, didn't realize that. I thought.
Don't worry,
I got it.
Lucia.
Me neither.
Lucia, that was a difficult one. Lucia.
The butterfly.
Butterfly time. Where is the butterfly? Oh, here. Name this sustainable development goal.
Justice.
Let's see. Oh, so like last time, I'm going to give it to you. But let's say you said peace, justice, and strong institutions. I would give you 15 plus 10. So I'm going to give you 15 because you got the idea. Lucia with 30. Dante.
Okay. Which one? The flower on the top. The yellow one.
But tell me, no. I want you to help. We're going to pretend you're a student. So you have to explain more. Colors, movements. Which one?
Okay, the umbrella, the one that was aside of the lion.
Dante's like, I don't want to explain the flowers. I'm just going to go to the umbrella. All right, you want the umbrella now?
Sorry,
here we go. Umbrella. Name this sustainable development goal.
Energy, electricity savings.
Sorry?
Energy and electricity savings.
Affordable and clean energy. That's close enough for 15. Fernando, back to you.
Okay, the yellow flower.
The yellow flower. Name this sustainable development goal.
Family, something related to family. Community and family.
Oh, no poverty, but I like that. I'm gonna give you 5 points for that. Fernando gets 5. Lucia.
The sheep that is changing colors.
The sheep that is changing colors. I love it.
Quality education, number 4.
Quality education. Oh, she nailed it. She got it plus 10 points because she said exactly which one it was. So we are going to give Lucia 10 more points. Now be careful, guys. Lucia, you look like you're going to win this game, but be careful because there are power-ups. There are power-ups coming. You guys choose carefully. Dante.
The flowers that are on the top.
Give me
the
colors.
green
Give me
ones.
movements.
The green ones.
The green flower.
Yep.
This green flower with the bumblebee?
Yep.
Name the sustainable development goal.
What is that symbol? It's
Difficult.
strategy. I don't recognize the symbol.
Don't worry. Now,
math or physics.
the reason it's a good game, and the reason you guys are not always remembering is because you didn't do everything we did in the lesson, right? So remember how many times the students see these things
Yeah.
and hear them.
Yeah.
So it's normal. It's normal, but it's also fun like this because it means, oh yeah, I don't remember. So next time I have to remember. You can also give them the link so that at home they can practice. Now, if you say, well, but this isn't higher order thinking, I agree. So the idea is if they know industry, innovation, infrastructure, this is something then that you can connect them more easily to thinking more deeply and researching and, the suggestions you guys made about connecting to their communities, right? Fernando.
The flower on the top right.
What does it look like? What's it doing?
She's smiling and dancing.
I like it, smiling and dancing. Name the sustainable development goal.
No idea.
Okay, anybody want to guess? I'll do this. If Fernando doesn't know, Lucia or Dante, if you know, I'll give you 10 points.
No.
No idea.
No idea.
Reduced inequalities. Lucia.
I don't know if they are chickens, the one that are next to the rabbit.
Yeah, let me see because I'm trying to do it so you guys can see let's see. Are those little, it looks like little chicks, little clay chicks. Okay. Name this sustainable development goal.
Something related to industry or growth, economic growth, something like that. Yeah,
Ooh,
because of the
decent
song. I
work.
remember because of the
Decent
song.
work in economic growth. I'm going to give you 15 for that. Dante.
Okay. The cart.
Yeah, the wheelbarrow. I guess more technically, but it's like a cart.
Sorry, the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, no. But it's a cart is good. It's a type of cart. Name this sustainable development goal.
Food. The savings.
Food. Zero hunger.
Yeah.
5 points for that. 5 points. 5 points for that. 5 points for that. It's a little far away. You get 5 for that.
It's just too general. Too generic.
Okay, if this is the last one, Fernando.
Those 3 flowers or 3 types of grass or
the 3 plants or whatever it is.
Yeah, the 3 plants.
Oh, guys. That is a very crazy power up. Are you ready? Boom. Now you can play without power ups, but the reason I love them is nobody feels bad. If you know, because there's
I'm the villain.
Well, maybe Lucia feels bad, but it can change. You never know.
I'm sorry, Lucia.
It's okay, don't worry.
Lucia, which one? We have the watering can. Looks like a watering can, and we have like a rabbit and some eggs here.
The bunny, yes, the rabbit.
The bunny with the eggs. Give 20 points. Now this is interesting, Lucia, because this is very strange. Let me explain. It's a very strange moment for this to happen. You are going to be, are you ready? -20. You are going to be -20. I know that sounds crazy, but you are going to make someone very happy. Now, you guys, when you do this in the classroom, it's so cool because you can have the teams, like 3 people on a team, 4 people on a team, and they can negotiate. You know,
Yeah, interesting.
So, Lucia, what do you think? And here's what I do too. You guys are going to love this. Lucia, if it's okay, I'm going to give Fernando and Dante the opportunity to tell you why you should choose them. Okay? Fernando, why should why should she give you 20?
Because that was the last one. I'm suffering.
He said, two interesting points. If I'm correct, Fernando said first he was the last. It's true. He was losing the entire game, and then plus he's South American. He's a neighbor. He said. I mean, you know, Mexico is not too far away either, but you guys are bordering countries, so I guess
I love Brazil. Yeah.
Oh, and she loves Brazil. But Dante, I have a feel. Dante, you have a good reason too, right? Why should Lucia give you the 20 points?
Because we're partners.
Really?
I think some of the, you know, some of the objectives, you know, to share knowledge, man, and share, you know, resources, share points. Is some of the same stuff.
Very interesting. Those are some interesting points as well. Lucia, what are you going to do?
Since Dante was the second, I mean, in terms of the positions of the game, I'm going to choose Dante.
Dante gets the points.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
because he guessed.
Dante with 20. Look at this. Dante, now, if this is a normal question, whether you get it right or wrong, it doesn't matter. You're going to win. But it could be another power up. Let's see. Oh, name this sustainable development goal.
That's the same. It's like being sustainable. Let's start way to look for resources to get us sustainable. I know it sounds like you said.
No, my friend, but it's okay. The winner, Dante, and even Britney Spears is impressed. So for the extension activity, earlier, Fernando, who's here live, mentioned something similar to this. So my idea is that those groups that we started earlier, or in their new groups, because we have new groups that we made, they could come up with a short rhyme, what we call a rhyming couplet. So here's an example. For the health and well-being of all boys and girls, we need to end hunger in every part of the world. And this one happens to link, interconnected, right? We have no hunger and good health and well-being. Maybe they want to write a whole verse. Maybe they want to incorporate it into my song that we saw today, or a new song. Or it doesn't have to be a song. It could be a poem. It could be a short story. It could be, right? So any extension you wanted to do that's more creative would be great at this point, because we've talked about how they're sort of reporting and giving their opinions, but about, you know, what could be done to achieve these goals, and now maybe a more creative way to get into it and to share with their classmates. If you know me, you know I like to finish with practice makes progress. It's not about being perfect. I think it's about building through practicing English. Thank you so much to American TESOL Institute for the opportunity to host this webinar. I'll be back next month with another. Take care, everybody. English teachers worldwide. Peace, respect. Bye-bye.